Hey guys, Jason here once again with the SG1 Sports Channel. Thank you for tuning in, and let's dive right into some Ohio State football. More specifically, Ohio State's roster. Today, we are going to be ranking the top 10 players at Ohio State. At number 10 on our list of the top 10 players at Ohio State is safety Shawn Wade. He's a 6'1", 200-pound junior. He's a guy Ohio State plucked out of Florida a few years ago, really highly recruited by most of the bigger programs in the country, was the 2016 USA Today Defensive Player of the Year. And he had a pretty decent season last year with 31 total tackles, 3 INTs, and 7 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. Now, there was some turmoil going on within that staff last year as they transitioned from Urban Meyer to Coach Day. And there was a lot of turnover on the defensive side. I think it took them to, almost to the midpoint of the season to get that shored up. But look for him to continue to improve as one of the better corners over there. I think he's underrated. Look for him to step up and have a bigger year for the Buckeyes this season. Number 9 on our list is Damon Arnett Jr. He's a rising senior, another of Ohio State's players in a really what seems to be loaded secondary with a lot of experience coming back. Like I talked about earlier, the turmoil that was going on with the coaching staff, I think they got that all worked out. Arnett is, like I said, has a ton of experience, having started or played in 40 games in his 3 seasons with the Buckeyes. He was somewhat thrown under the bus last year, like I said, with all the issues among the coaching staff. I don't believe his talents were best used for the most part. Look for Arnett to be more of a slot corner this year, where his talent and ability are better used and showcased. And number 8 on our list today is Baylon Montford. Montford is the lone returning starter on the offensive line for Ohio State in 2019 and will be counted on to be a leader at that position. He started 13 games in 2018 as a sophomore before an injury cost him an appearance in the Rose Bowl. He has played in 25 of 28 games in 2 seasons with the Buckeyes and earned honorable mention All Big Ten. They really like his upside and his leadership within the locker room. So look forward to Montford to become more of an impact player this season for the Buckeyes. Number 7 on our list is cornerback Jeffery Okuda. Now, Okuda came to Ohio State with a lot of fanfare, having been a 5-star recruit and the top cornerback in the country, as well as the number 8 overall player. He played early on as a freshman before joining last year what was mostly a 3-man rotation. It appeared to have what was a breakout game in the Rose Bowl against Washington. So with the opportunity this year to be on the field for every snap, look for Okuda's numbers to improve this year as he becomes one of the better lockdown corners in the country. Number 6 on our list is KJ Hill, a wide receiver. Now Hill is a 5th-year senior and a potential record-setting receiver for the Buckeyes. His receptions, his yards, and his touchdowns have increased every year since he got to campus, and he enters the 2019 season needing just 48 receptions to break David Boston's 20-year-old school record of 191 career receptions. And to go along with that, he has right at 1,700 career yards, which places him 17th in school history. And he's had at least 1 reception in 34 career games. Was named an honorable mention All Big Ten in 2018 after having 70 receptions for 885 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, for his career, Hill has 144 receptions for 1,700 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, an interesting tidbit about those numbers is that although Hill has played in 40 games in his career, he has only 4 starts. So look for KJ to be the featured guy in an offense that expects to follow up the juggernaut of an offensive unit from last season. And number 5 on our list is Justin Fields, a quarterback. Now, even if you are just an average sports fan, you probably know Fields is the transfer from Georgia, or have even at least heard about it. Having decided he didn't want to, sit behind or battle Jake Fromm for the starting quarterback position there in Athens. And he let it be known his services were once again open and available. And he sat back and evaluated all the hot and sexy suitors that, for the second time in a couple of years, came calling, and they came calling in droves. He did participate in the Buckeye spring game. He went 4 for 13. However, one of those completions went to Benjamin Victor for 98 yards. After a slow start, Fields led his unit to 4 consecutive touchdown drives before taking an early seat. And they certainly look for him to be the future there at Ohio State at the quarterback position, and I tend to agree with that as well. And number 4 on our list is linebacker Malik Harrison. Now, Harrison is a big kid for a linebacker. He's close to 6'4" and 240 pounds, who I believe could develop into another in a long line of outstanding high-end linebackers that, Ohio State has produced throughout the years. And, he's played in 39 games in his career so far, starting 14 of those. Now, last year he did have 13 starts. Was a Big Ten and Rose Bowl champion, second on the team in career tackles with 87 solo and 130 total tackles. Last season, he tied for the team leading tackles with 81, included 8.5 tackles for loss. Was also named to the honorable mention Big Ten team. And with a solid year of playing time under his belt, look for Harrison to have a breakout campaign in 2019 for the Buckeyes. And number 3 on our list today is safety Jordan Fuller, who is a 6'2", 205-pound rising senior. Now, look, Fuller is an absolute stud between the white lines, and apparently he's even more impressive off the field. Fuller, who coming into Ohio State was a 247 4-star prospect at corner and was also ranked as high as number 2 as an athlete in 247 sports recruiting rankings. He's super smart, has a high IQ. He enters his senior season carrying a 3.8 GPA and was named a first-team academic All-American in 2018, which is a huge honor. He's a veteran of 39 games played. He enters this season with 162 career tackles. He had 6 games with 8 or more tackles last year and produced a career-best 12 versus Minnesota. And then he followed that up with a 3-game stretch where he had 9 tackles against Michigan, 9 against Northwestern in the Big Ten title game, and 9 more in the Rose Bowl. So he was a highly touted and coveted player coming out of high school, and I believe it's his time to, have that breakout dominating season that his talent certainly calls for. Number 2 on the list is defensive end Chase Young. Coming out of high school, he was a consensus 5-star prospect, a top 10 overall player, coming out of high school, to this point. His career has been good. It hasn't been lived up to his potential yet, but I think 2019 will solidify anyone who doubts this kid's ability. In 2018, he led the Buckeyes in sacks with 10, tackles for loss with 15.5. Like I stated earlier, with another strong season this year, Young could become just the second player in school history with double-digit sacks in multiple seasons. And the only other guy to do that was a pretty good one, and that was Mike Vrabel. He did that in 1994 and 95. Sporting News has Young on their preseason first-team All-American list. Again, I certainly feel that this is warranted, as this kid is just an animal. Got overshadowed a lot by Nick Bosa, which isn't a knock on Young. Bosa just has a wide-open type personality that, quite frankly, speaking honestly, does cast a wide shadow. So look for Young to have a big season in Columbus as he leads the Buckeyes on another Big Ten and national title run. And number 1 on our list is running back J.K. Dobbins. He's a compact, muscular, hard runner. Come out of high school, he was a U.S. Army All-American. His senior year of high school, he was a 4-star running back and a top 50 prospect. He was number 43 overall by 247 Sports and number 44 overall by ESPN. He was named one of the top 5 running backs in the nation, including number 2 all-purpose back by 247 Sports. And with all those accolades, J.K. Dobbins has certainly lived up to all the hype upon arriving on campus 3 summers ago. Dobbins started all 14 games at running back as a true freshman in 2017. on his way to setting a school record for rushing yards by a freshman with just over 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, 2018 saw a drop-off for Dobbins, racking up right at 1,100 yards. He did have a few more touchdowns with 10. As Ohio State had a big year on offense last season, I believe this kid has the potential to develop into the type of back that Zeke Elliott has become. Maybe not quite on his athletic ability, but if he does have a good season, Ohio State can expect another standout season on offense as they make a run for another national title.